This bitch is nuts. God can't. What's up, Fort Knox? Welcome back to my channel. And if you've seen the title of this video, you know exactly what I cannot stop laughing at. I am absolutely obsessed with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's one of my favorite shows. I watch pretty much all of the Housewives shows, the franchises, other than like Dallas. But I hear a lot of craziness goes on in Dallas also, so I've got to get on Dallas. But I want to talk to you guys about this last episode, which is season 10, episode 3. It is absolutely nuts. It starts off with Erika Jane, and she is one of my favorite housewives, by the way. But she is rehearsing for her show, which she's in Chicago. And I had the pleasure of actually seeing her in Chicago before the quarantine, and this lady killed it. First of all, we already knew, I've seen her in concert before, and I already knew that she could slay a stage, but this character, Roxy, was like made for her. It was absolutely amazing. I'm having like craziness with my hair, but just ignore it, whatever, the gray, whatever. But just, you know, she is rehearsing for the show and like trying to get her vocals together. And then she goes into the story about how, you know, with her mom was really tough on her, and I know in past seasons she's talked about how tough her mom was on her, which is why she's so strong. But basically her mom laughed at her one time when she was a kid, and it stuck with her. Like, that was one of the worst time she ever had on stage. And I can identify with that, just wanting the approval of family. Being an entertainer myself, I can definitely identify with, you know, wanting people who you care about to just be proud of you and to love what you do. And like, you know, that was a big thing. So I definitely identified with that. Apparently Sutton, at her, on the last episode, at her opening of her boutique, gave away amazing gift bags. And I remember last week that Garcelle was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and she was talking about how the gift bags that Sutton gave were amazing. Well, they were. She gave away this clutch that was over like $1,000. It was absolutely like so sleek and so cool and so like trendy. And there was a lot of other things in there that apparently everybody loves. Then we cut to Teddi. Teddi is so direct with the girls, you know, talking about how she just doesn't care if they come or not. Like, come if you want to. She's direct with them because she knows what these girls are capable of. And I really blame Lisa Rinna for setting her up in that car when she was just like, you know, people coming to support doesn't always mean that they're well behaved. Just like, the thing is, Sutton knows that Teddi knows that these girls can come and be like absolutely rude and be like and misbehave, and she didn't want to mess up her event. She didn't want them messing up her event, but she also wanted them to want to come, because it wasn't one of those things where it's like, you're just coming to support me. It's one of those things where it's like, you're gonna get a lot out of this, and I want you to come with the intention of getting a lot out of it, and because you want to come, not just because you want to just be there and just for the sake of supporting. But you know that she invited all the women to come to this event, this retreat, which nobody really wants to come to a retreat because they realize, like, these Beverly Hills girls, they have to do things, you know. But I don't think she really, you know, she said, I want you guys to want to come, but I think it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, if you don't want to come, like, you know, if you're going to come and misbehave, then, you know, don't come. But it's the wording of it. And I think that's the problem, is that she worded it so, like, I don't care if you come and, you know, I'm inviting you. But that's what I was getting at. I do think that she's invited everyone because she knew that Bravo was going to film it if all the girls were invited. And then, of course, there's this whole big deal made of it. It was just something small, which will come into play later on as I talk about the episode. But honestly, I just think that she is over everyone. Teddi's over everybody. Just in, you know, in the past. And I think, you know, these girls, they're great girls. They're supportive. They're whatever. But I think the the shift for them, or the like weirdness between them and Teddi, is that Teddi's an accountability coach. And when you're this type of woman where you turn up and you go crazy and you do all this, their antics, you don't want somebody to hold you accountable for all of this. So I can see why they, I see both sides of where she's coming from and also where they're coming from. Let's talk about Dorit's closet. Now, Dorit's house, now, I'm a closet girl. I'm a fashion girl. I love like glamour and all that stuff. And Dorit's closet is absolutely phenomenal. I know she said it's not quite finished yet. The house is not finished. But she had, I'm a fan of Justine Marjan, who does her hair, was there. And she just looked fabulous. I just had to put that side note in about her closet. I have never heard someone say that eating meat made their body and their life better. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it made you better. Like, I'm pescatarian. I don't eat meat. I'm only eat seafood. But Lisa Rinna says that it made her body better. Like, she got sicker not eating meat. I don't know if that is, like, there's medical evidence of that. But that just doesn't really sound right. Come on. Let's also talk about how fine Mauricio is. One moment of silence for Mauricio. Is just fine. He is no shirt on, towel. He's just sexy. The gray hair. He's just so sexy and always high. Like, always high. It is so funny. I mean, like, weed is legal, but it's just really cute. Like, high Mauricio is a definite mood. I love it. He's so hot and so funny and just so supportive and just like the loving husband to Kyle Richards. I love him. Now, Dorit lives 2 minutes away from Kyle and still took a car service, and I don't blame her, because I've lived close to places before and still took a car service because we're messing up our heels. And the heels, given Dorit's track record, those heels were probably very expensive. Plus, I just couldn't see her walking down those heels, to Kyle's house. But I just thought that was so funny to show her in a car service. Like, she couldn't have just taken a regular Uber or something. But it's Dorit. She's got to, front for the camera. She's got to floss and whatever. And I love Dorit and all her opulence. But she was like, I just knew that I was going to be the first one there. And then, of course, Miss Accountability shows up super early and is like the first one there, pregnant and all. She's just like, did you spend the night with her? Come on. And poor Denise. They damn near had to prop Denise up. She's just fresh out of surgery for a hernia. Who knows if it's because of having all that amazing sex with her husband. But she is clearly in pain and teetering along in heels. Like, hats off to her for being such a trooper and wanting to like still participate in the event, even though she just had surgery. And they're like, how are you doing? She's like, I'm in pain. Like, I'm in such pain, but I'm here, not complaining or anything. So hats off to her. Oh my God, I cannot say this enough. Sutton is an absolute snob. Now, I want you to put this disclaimer on this. While I think that Sutton is an absolute snob and she gets on my absolute nerves and I just could never be around somebody like her, she is absolutely amazing for the show. She gives me the same vibe that like Camille Grammer gives, like or Donatachi, whatever. She is just absolutely, her snobbery knows no end. Like, it's just crazy. And she's like, look, oh God, you guys are going to like roast me for my ready to wear. And it's just like, whatever. It's just like, dude, you're ready to wear. Like, Erika Jane is just like, ready to wear is what we all wear. And there's nothing wrong with it not being couture. And even if it was couture or ready to wear, it was an ugly effing dress. The dress was absolutely hideous. She looked like she looked like a Christmas tree. Or the skirt that goes under the Christmas tree. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely horrible. But I mean, she's a fashion girl, so whatever. Fashion is not always gorgeous. It's sometimes debatable and whatever. But she's just like, oh my God, I'm in ready to wear. Can you believe? Like, please don't. Like, you guys are going to roast me because I'm not in couture. You're so used to me being in couture. It's just absolutely crazy. She loves fashion, but fashion absolutely hates her. Because everything I've seen her in is just sort of like, she look all boxy and crazy and whatever. And I'm not body shaming her, but it's just like, come on, girl. Like, you want to talk about your fashion. All the women in there looked way better than what she had on. And I'm sure their outfits didn't cost nearly as much as her outfit did. But I mean, they look fabulous, and I feel like Erika Jayne could literally put a trash bag on, put a belt around it, and we'd be like, oh, you look fabulous, you know. And I'm one of those girls that, you know, some things I have are expensive, some things I have are not. Some things are like Fashion Nova or like a fashion boutique on an Instagram boutique, but it's all in the way you style it, the way you wear it, and dressing for your body type. Sutton. But Erika Jayne, of course, my girl Erika Jayne breaks her down and has to explain like what, like, calls her out like she can't stand Sutton, and that for me is just, I love it. It's absolutely hilarious. I can't. But of course, Miss Garcelle comes in and makes an amazing entrance, and I'm telling you, that poof that she had on, that big poof Garcelle had on, I'm guessing that probably wasn't super expensive, because I've seen those poofs all over the place. But this is how you make an entrance. And then she and Kyle are dressed similarly, but like, you look better than the host. That's how you make an entrance into a place, Sutton. But it was just crazy. And here we go. Oh my God, I don't mean to keep harping on Sutton, but this was a very Sutton heavy episode. The place cards. Like, girl, just pick a seat and sit down. Stop with the place cards. Now, I do agree that in a setting like this where it's a dinner party, you might want to do place cards, but I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Bravo set them where they were supposed to sit anyway. You notice that all the men, like, when you look at the episode, at first, Teddy was sitting beside her husband. And then he slid down and made room for Sutton. But Sutton ends up sitting beside Teddy because they moved all the guys, because they're filming. You got to keep in mind, even though this was a dinner party, they're still filming. So they definitely moved everybody that was in the cast closer to each other, so the camera angles. And then all the men were all on the other side. So, and then of course we got to see, shout out to Justin. I love Justin from Daily Pop on E! News. He was there. He used to work for Kyle, and he and Kyle are still very tight. So he was there. But the seating chart, like, oh my God, girl, like, if do we have to call out there are no placemats or place settings? Just or name cards. Just pick a seat and sit down and stop making a big deal of it. It's just, oh my God. And I just feel like Lisa Rinna, I know it's her friend, but she really kisses. She really kisses her ass. Like, she's just all up Sutton's ass. It's just absolutely insane to me. And she's always just like, my friend Sutton is just really into fashion. And she sits on the board of what, we don't care where she sits on the board. She's sitting here in this house, and be normal and be like cool. Like, stop being so like, so it just come off as a complete, absolute, utter snob. And nobody likes a snob, especially Erika Jayne, who calls her out over and over and over and over again. And you know, she eggs her on. Like, she eggs her on, which leads me to the first impressions game. So everybody goes around the table, and I'm actually going to do this at my next dinner party or my next gathering with my friends, and do like a first impression, because I always have this thing where people always tell me, like, you know, when I first met you, Riley, I thought you were like stuck up and a snob and whatever. And I'm like, well, when did you realize that I wasn't? They're like, oh, when you said hello when I met you. I'm like, really? So you think just because I do what I do, or I'm in the public eye, that I must be, you know, a snob? And so I want to play this game. So they did this game where the person sitting next to you, you say something that your first impression was of them, and then what you think of them now that you got to know them. And it was, of course, like, you know, very sweet and very whatever. And this probably would not have made the air if it wasn't for, by the time they got around to Sutton, because she's just like, oh my God, in her confessional, oh my God, like, everybody's like, oh my God, I thought you were so pretty when I first met you, and then I realized you really are pretty. You know, she was just like, I knew, like, the S was going to hit the fan when she turns to my sweet pregnant Teddy, the accountability coach, and says, I'm just not as nice as everyone else. Like, I'm so much not nicer than you guys. And then proceeds to tell her that she thought that Teddy was boring when she first met her. Now, we've heard people say that before about Teddy, and Dorit in her shade. I love Miss Dorit in her confessionals with her shade. She was just like, this cannot be the first time that somebody has said this to you. And of course, it's definitely not. But it wasn't even that set Teddy off, because they all start like, oh my God. And she's just there, and Garcelle's like, she's gonna start crying. And then she breaks into tears. It was the fact that she says, you know, when I met you, I thought you were gonna be boring. And then I was just like, oh, I'm pregnant. That was what set her off. And you think about it, that is kind of rude to just go and say that to a pregnant woman. But also, hello, pregnant hormonal woman, you people are assholes for making a pregnant woman cry. Come on, who makes a pregnant woman cry? You're terrible. And if you are a husband out there, you know you do not make your pregnant wife cry. So that they were just all wrong for that. It was just it made for like an awkward moment, and then she's just like, I'm so trying to be chill, and Dorit's like, no one who's actually chill ever says, I'm just trying to be so chill. So freaking crazy. And then Sutton looks like just like the mean girl. She's just like, oh God, she's like, you know, this is so terrible. She's like, you and your game, Kyle, you started this. And then Lisa, of course, you know, it's the one who starts all the mess starting Lisa Rinna is like, oh, I actually came up with the game. Yeah, you did. The same way you set her up in the car about people misbehaving, and you know, what if people come and just tear up your event, put that in her head. And so of course she goes off, and Kyle and Teddy's husband have to console Teddy. And you know, shout out to Teddy's husband letting the gray come in. That actually looks really good. But just basically to the fact that, you know, she's like, I just want to have a really good event, and this is the kind of thing I don't want there. This is what I don't want there. If you're going to come and misbehave, this is what I do not want there. So that was absolutely amazing that she, you know, said that, because that was a point that she was trying to get out the whole time. And I just was like, say what you really want to say, you know. And so, yeah, Mauricio calls out like the girls when they're going around and they are like loving on each other. He's just like, this is not the women I know. Like these, like they're also nice to each other. These are not the girls that I know. And I thought that was funny because it's absolutely the truth. And then Sutton, of course, you know, they set Sutton up because they set her right beside her and she already was having an issue. And Sutton is just so, I do like that Sutton is very honest and says, she's like, well, you told me to be honest, you know, but you got to kind of like think, you know, this girl is pregnant. So you made a pregnant girl cry. It's just absolutely crazy. Anyway, I am absolutely confused about Aaron and Denise. Don't get me wrong. Aaron is hot. Aaron is hot. And according to Denise, he has a very big, you know what, personality. And apparently because of his job, and like people follow him, like they're always followed. But I feel like he was trying to explain, Kyle asked him to explain what he does because it's a really cool job. It's a very interesting job, and like help us understand. It's just like, you know, dinner party conversation. And he is like drunk at this point. You could tell he's wasted, and he's trying to explain to them. But then he somehow says that cancer is your best friend. I didn't get that part. Like, that was really weird. But he tries to explain it, and, you know, just like Sutton said, this is the point in the conversation where you grab your husband's leg and you're like, stop. You know, like, it's time to just let that go. But, you know, that was absolutely, he's trying to explain science to them, and they're like, we may not be like these, we're not as dumb as you think we are. We understand some of what you're talking about, but you're also not making any sense right now because of the way you're explaining it. And then Teddy reveals that she is having, they had a gender reveal. They flash back to it, but they ask her, well, what are you having? And they're like thinking it's a boy, and find out that there's more girls. So guess what? More bitches. More girls. It's crazy. As if there wasn't enough estrogen on this show as it is, but here comes another girl. So happy for her. She already had her baby. I think she had her baby like 2 months ago at this point, but so cute. Drunk Kyle is always my spirit animal. I love drunk Kyle. Sutton had bought a bottle of Fireball, and they drank that bottle of Fireball. She was crawling all under Garcelle's dress, all over the floor, just absolutely nuts. And it's just really interesting. Other than that, she goes and talks to Sutton, tries to convince her to come to the retreat, and Kyle convinces her to come, and that's pretty much where the episode ended. I am very interested to see the next episode where they all go to the retreat, because that, I'm sure you know something's gonna go down. It's gonna be a hot ass mess, and I'm really interested to see how the rest of the season unfolds, because we're just inching closer and closer and closer to the biggest scandal of the whole season, which is the alleged affair between Denise Richards and Brandy Glanville. So I can't wait for that. I'm going to try to give you guys my opinion on this show every week. I'm 3 episodes behind. Well, I'm not 3 episodes as far as a review. But going forward, I'll try to. If you guys watch the show, comment below. Tell me what you think, what your opinion is on the show. If you don't watch the show, starting right now on this season, you don't have to go back and watch the other season. Like, you can start right now at the beginning of the season. We're only 3 episodes in, and you can actually get a feel for who everybody is and how they are, even if you've never seen the show. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you click and subscribe, the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell so that you are linked to whenever and notified whenever I have a video out. And I thank you guys for watching. Bye.